Hi everyone, I'm Lou and welcome back to my channel, the only channel on YouTube with 57 subscribers. And today I'm going to be doing a little video based on shredding using inversions. So I have a question. Have you ever learnt this sweeping pattern? Have you ever sat alone in your room for hours doing nothing but... Have your bandmates ever come up to you and said, "For the love of God, please stop playing that"? And you replied simply with... Well, fear not, for I have some techniques which will help improve your relationship with your bandmates. So, before I start this video, I'm going to change to clean. So with sweeping arpeggios and a lot of shredding, which is based around arpeggios in general, we are usually talking about triads. Occasionally you'll venture into sevenths, but usually it's around triads, so we're going to be focusing specifically on that. So if we have a triad, which basically, if you don't know, means a chord made up of three notes, the root, the third, and the fifth, we have a three-note chord, which means we have three different ways of playing that chord. We can play that chord from either its root, where it will be root 3-5, we can play it from the third, which it will be third 5 root, or we can play it from the fifth, where it will be fifth, root, and third. So if we play these chords from the sixth string, it will look something like this. Now you may be wondering,
oh, well, this is fantastic. Thank you for giving us this information.
But how the fuck do I use this with the...
Well, here's how we use it. With the guitar, we have this thing called the caged chord system, which is inversions based off of root chord position shapes. Caged is literally just kind of an acronym for all the different chords. So we have C-shaped chords, A-shaped chords, G-shaped chords, E-shaped chords, and D-shaped chords. So we have this sweep picking arpeggio, which is a 5-string sweep picking arpeggio starting from the A string, the 5th string. What we want is to play the other inversions from that string as well. We've got a basic understanding of the caged chord system, inversions, but how do they relate to this 5-string sweep picking arpeggio? Well, this 5-string sweep picking arpeggio is actually a C-shape arpeggio, and you can see that when you play the... Let me just turn my guitar on first. You can see that when we play the... We have our C-shape arpeggio, but where can we go from here? So we don't really want to move to any of the other strings because that's just going to make it confusing. We want to stay on the A string, so we have other 5-string sweep picking arpeggios, which means that we have two different options for inversions now. So yeah, just as a bit of clarification, I should have really put this in the beginning of the video, but I'm going to be specifically talking about the A minor triad for this arpeggio example. I'll cover how this can be used in major as well. So if we look at the note that the C-shape sweep picking arpeggio starts on, it starts on the 5th of A. So then what we want to do is we want to move up to the next note, and the next note from the 5th will be the root. So we're at the root, and we can see if we played this an octave down, if we played A minor an octave down, we would get that. So we basically want to do very similar. Except we want to spice this up and make it a little bit more sweepy. So we add in root to the third, and then when we get to the 5th, we go from the 5th to the root. And now we've got our first two shapes, the C shape, and this will be the A shape, because you can see it's an A shape down here. We now want to find the next position, which will be really based around where the A bar chord would be, so around there. But we don't want to play it from there because you'll get this really weird... But we don't want to play it from the 6th string because that's going to cause some problems. We want to play it from the 5th string, the A string. So we've been playing these arpeggios starting from the 5th and from the root. So now it's going to be from the 3rd. So 3rd of A will be here. So essentially we're going to be sweeping the bar chord but missing out the 6th string and just starting from the 3rd. This chair is very uncomfortable in its current position. It feels like my back is twisting out of its socket. So now we have our 3 inversions: root, second, third inversion based off the root, the third, and the 5th note of the scale. Now we have a lot more freedom to shred, so I'm going to go back onto a distorted sound because otherwise this will just show up all my terrible playing mistakes. Inversions can really help you just repeat the same notes in a different order, and you have a different timbre as well. So they sound differently depending on where you play them. So you're playing the same notes, but you have so many different ways of playing them. You can even reduce them to 3-note sweeps, 4-note sweeps. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, really. You can even extend it to 6, or if you've got a 7-string or an 8-string, like 7 or 8-string sweeps. So techniques like this can really just help you break out of that rut. The next thing I want to talk to you about, now that we've talked about inversions and how to use them for extending your soloing, is harmonization. Now, because this video is centered around inversions, this is going to be harmonization using inversions. So a lot of people think if you just harmonize a third up the scale, it will sound good. And this is and isn't true. You can get away with it if you're doing a melody, but if you're doing like a sweep picked arpeggio, anything which is kind of a little bit chord based, if you're doing any kind of melody which is based around a chord, you don't want to harmonize a third up the scale because you eventually will just end up playing almost all the notes in the scale, and that's going to kind of sound a bit weird and will take your chord sequence out of context. I've found this has happened to me quite a lot. You know, not all the time, sometimes it can work absolutely fine. It does have a tendency to kind of remove the original feeling from your chord sequence. So one of the ways that you can get around this is by starting maybe in your root position and then harmonizing using the first inversion. And that's workable, or you could harmonize down using the second inversion, just below the root inversion. So if you use this technique, it will make your chord sequences sound a lot more coherent. It will make your sweeping sound a lot more coherent. It's not like you've just taken a load of notes and thrown them at a wall and just demanded that they stick to it. So this last tip that I want to give you is based on tapping patterns, because this is something that I've struggled with for ages, and I've only just started to kind of figure it out after trying to learn a necrophagist song. If you see anyone who's really good at shredding, you'll notice they can just play about 3 or 4 notes and just keep on playing them, and they sound different, but they're still playing the same 3 or 4 notes, and they just keep on doing it until their guitar slowly wears away from rot. But the way that they're doing it is by going back and repeating notes. So instead of going, you'll be playing. I've covered a couple of these techniques in some of my previous videos. You can check them out there. I'm sure I'll provide a link to them of some sort. With tapping, with sweeping, with everything, it's pretty much exactly the same. But tapping can be a bit more difficult because to try and find out where these repetitions start and end, it can be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to give you some basic patterns that you can follow. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below. If you didn't, definitely leave a comment down below. If you want to check out some of my music, you can check out my band's website at derelictdreams.com. We've released a new EP. It's up on Spotify and Apple Music and all the big streaming companies. Go and check that out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.